Hey, it's Sammy and Natalie here, and welcome to the Anxiety Compass, where anxiety isn't the enemy, it's our tour guide. We'll swap stories, share tools, and have a laugh while we find our way back to true north. Come along. Welcome back, everyone. Hey there. We are going to be talking about what are we going to call the episode?
I'm not sure. We didn't actually make a decision on because we had a title, but it's the title of a movie. So we decided that we probably shouldn't call because of
The
copyright.
cuckoo one. Um,
Yeah, movie about
maybe I don't know.
see live people.
The
We are
lowdown from Ward 9. I just put it into Chat GPT and it's come up with some ridiculous under the fluorescence. I don't know.
we'll think of something.
One slew over the sanitarium.
Oh no. Oh, no.
Goodness me. Discharged and delirious. We'll come up with a title,
No.
but
Yeah.
basically, this episode will be around going, thinking you're going crazy when you've got anxiety, and you're an anxious person. So this has happened to me. I'm going to give you an example. When I was little, I ended up in hospital quite a number of times because I thought I wasn't breathing. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was pretty much going crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. And I actually did lots of things like counting, doing multiplication in my head, just to prove to myself that my brain was still functioning and that I wasn't going crazy. And
Yes.
it isn't until later on in life, now I'm in my 40s, that I've had these conversations with other people who are anxious who said, yeah, I've done that too. And this is something we've discussed, having anxiety or being, I don't like to label us with anxiety, but having anxious feelings and being susceptible to feeling anxious can lead us to overthinking and overcomplicating things
Yeah.
where you for example, my younger son, he's quite anxious sometimes. If he sees a bug, he freaks out because he thinks it's a killer bug and it's going to attack.
Yeah.
As
Yeah. Yeah.
opposed to my eldest, who would just flick the bug and go, ooh, go away. So
Yeah.
we create, we've got quite a vivid imagination, and it can lead us into some scary places
Absolutely.
mentally.
Yeah, and I mean it's just a sign that our body is dysregulated because obviously there is good stress. There anxiety is there for a reason, as we've talked about in previous episodes. We've got two forms of stress. We've got distress and eustress.
Mhm.
Eustress is good stress. We need some stress in our body. But when our body, our nervous systems are dysregulated, because obviously when you see something, a threat, like a bug that's a killer bug out
They're
in
all
the
killer bugs.
wild, well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's when it's a dysregulation, isn't it? Because our mind goes to and it's our primitive brain.
Yeah.
Like our logical brain really does shut down
Yeah.
when we're in a highly anxious state or if we're having a panic attack. There is nothing logical about it. Like our body has just gone into like complete freak out mode.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is taking what our primitive brain would say, oh, that's a threat, and it's seeing a threat in anything, whatever
Mm.
our brain is perceiving.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
your
We
son,
always,
it's a
my
bug.
husband often says to me, you always think of the, well, not as much these days, but you always think of the worst possible thing
Worst
that will
case
happen. I'm like,
scenario.
I need to be prepared.
Exactly. I was the same. I mean, it's catastrophizing everything.
Catastrophizing. That's
Yes, I
the
was the
word.
same. If anything, I would be thinking of the absolute worst. Like even when my parents would come over to visit, and
Mm,
when I lived in Canberra, and they were literally a 3-minute drive from my house, but I had to get them to call me as soon as they got home because I was terrified that they were going
mm.
to die in a car crash in that
Oh,
3 minutes. And this was every time. Like it must have been exhausting for my family. Like
mm.
I needed that reassurance that they were actually okay.
Yeah, my
It's
mum does that
awful.
with me sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Here's another example. Like for example, I've got back pain at the moment, but the old me that had back pain would think, oh my gosh, I remember there was a guy who had bone cancer, and the first
Yeah.
sign was back pain. Oh my God, I've got cancer. And you would just put that out into the universe, and then all of a sudden you would be like, oh my God, I'm dying, I'm this. And then as soon as
Yes.
I find in some cases with clients, I'm like, what if we just went and did some blood work to show that it's not there? Because you
Yeah.
knew it's not there. And as soon as they see the paperwork, it's like all
The
that anxious
evidence.
feeling is lifted. And that's often why
Absolutely.
sometimes the placebo effect works, because
Yes.
you get something and someone tells you you're okay, and it's nothing really. It's just the unconscious mind has got that certification to say that you're fine, and so it starts to set off all the things in your body to heal it and make it feel good again. um,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
the mind is at rest. So
Yeah.
I find that interesting. So your particular story though, Nat, you actually ended up into, what do they call it? Is it a psych ward or a mental health unit?
Yeah. Psychiatric. So I was in a private psychiatric
Yep.
hospital or ward.
Yep.
Yeah. I ended up there. Um, it's going back a long time. I'll never forget. So I was as I've mentioned before, I had a complete breakdown. My entire body, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, I was completely broken. That's when the severe anxiety disorder and panic disorder just came up from nowhere. Um, and I'd been put onto some medication. I mean, obviously, we're talking about 1999 here, so
Yeah.
a long time ago. Um, and that well, I wasn't responding. And in fact, after 3 years of trying medications, I actually said stop because I was having weird um, symptoms, side effects, and nothing was actually helping me. Like I said, I had CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. We now know that those medications that they would have given me back then, they actually don't work because it's something completely different.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, my doctor said to me, my psychiatrist said, I was sitting in his office and he said, okay, look, the medication's not working. We want to start playing around with some pretty serious medications. I think going to hospital would be a good idea. And my first instinct, like I was ever the optimist, even in this. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. A night or two in hospital might be really good. And he went, oh, it's no, it'll be about 2 weeks. As it
Oh,
turned out, I was there for 5 months, but that's
geez.
another story. I was really unwell. But then, of course, going home and getting ready to go in, I was terrified. There's this misconception of what psychiatric units are. And my mind went straight to,
The cuckoos.
there's that famous movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's the only perception I had
Getting a
of what
lobotomy.
psychiatric, yeah, that sort of thing, like being like horrible.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, I went in, like I said, I had the privilege of being in private hospitals, which treat softer, what they call softer, you know, disorders. So anxiety, depression, postnatal depression, that sort of breakdowns, that sort of thing. But I was terrified. And look, and as soon as I got in there, it was so completely different to what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It was really supportive. I'm getting all emotional talking about it. But I found, as like I said, at that first time I was in there for just over 5 months, all up over a 10-year period. I think I was in hospital. I sat down and added up once
It's a big
because they were
part of
just
your
trying to help
life.
me, and I was willing to try anything.
Yeah. Well, you
But
are at that
finding
age.
out, I saw so many patients come and go, and everyone thought the same thing. They had this horrible misconception that everyone said the same thing, mentioned that same movie.
Yeah.
Everyone had the same. It's a scary thing. But, my message to you is that if you do have to end up going to hospital, embrace it because it is a really positive space to be in. You do get a lot of support. It is really nice. It is actually really, really comforting to sit and talk to other people because you do feel like you are alone. You feel like you're going crazy, as you know, this is what this whole episode
Yeah.
is about. And you realize that you're not going crazy. It
Yep.
is actually more common than what we think. Now, being in private, I saw judges, lawyers, barristers, doctors, nurses, teachers, pilots, and then everyday people as well. Like it is not discerning as to who can get anxiety or depression. Obviously other
Yeah.
people are in there for depression as well. It can help to normalize what is happening in your body. And obviously you do get a lot of education. I mean, I could talk for hours on this
Yeah.
subject, but
I
trying to just
find
keep it brief.
I would imagine that it'd be more common these days just because of the way society in the Western world is set up,
Absolutely.
that it's a lot for us physically and mentally. Like, I was speaking to my sister yesterday and she was saying, you need to slow down and have a break. And I
Yeah.
said to her, I know that my body's telling me to do that, but I've set myself up in a certain way that I haven't got the space for the next couple of weeks. And we do it without even realizing. And it's so important that we have those breaks, and they're not talked about
And that,
enough.
yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. And that is, I mean, we talked last episode about wellness retreats. This can often be like a retreat. I mean, obviously you are given very specific um,
Treatments.
helpful hints and lifestyle changes and dietary changes and all those sorts of things when you go in, as well as getting that, psychological support as well, group work and all that sort of thing. And honestly, I found it a relief. And I know a lot of other people did too, exactly for what you said. I got to the point where I needed the excuse of going into hospital to be able to pause for a moment and breathe.
Mm.
And it is so common because, yeah, you look at all of the private hospitals, there is a long waiting list to get into any of them. So,
Yeah.
as you said, it's a reflection of our society, um,
Considered
how
a
broken it
weakness.
can be, and how crazy our lives are, and how
Mm.
far we push ourselves.
Yep.
It
I
is so
still get
common.
that. There's still that stigma in society that if you have mental health condition, you're weak and you're giving
Oh,
up, and
absolutely.
you have to, push through. Like, that seems, and it's more of a masculine way of approaching things.
Yeah.
Um, but there's that also the toxic positivity that's coming out there now,
Yes.
where it's just, you've got to
Yeah.
think positive, just
Yeah.
keep doing, smile, change your attitude, tell yourself that you're going to have a great day. And while that works to some extent, I think if you're not changing patterns and behaviors in your body, I think you're going down a slippery slope.
Absolutely. And that's what they can
And we've
teach you
both
in
done
hospital.
NLP, haven't we? We're both like,
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
yeah,
we understand that mindset
we trained it.
work.
Mm,
Absolutely. But going into hospital that you are taught these sorts of things. Like, I learnt they now teach mindfulness in there.
mm,
They teach acceptance and commitment therapy, which is based around mindfulness.
yeah. But even
So
like learning, going that one step deeper and learning about the emotions that are in your body, because
absolutely, yes.
mindfulness is certain tools that you use, but have you dealt with why you're,
Absolutely. And that's what they work on. Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of on
mm,
one-on-one plus a lot of group work.
yeah,
And like I said, it can just be helpful to be around other people for a short amount of time. Obviously, you don't want to stay in that space
yeah,
because it can again become toxic. But yeah, being able to sit with other people in a room and go, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. I'm not going crazy.
real. This is,
It's just,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm real. I'm not going in a different body. You can dissociate
yeah,
with it as well. What do they
yeah.
call
Disassociation is a
dissociation?
big thing.
Mm, mm,
Absolutely. But yeah, I've
it's-
that's part of my mission in life is to remove that stigma. And I started saying that in 2020. No,
mm,
in the year 2000, I'm sorry,
you 20
that
years ahead of,
yeah, 25 years ago,
mm,
that it is up to people like us who have experienced and suffered from anxiety disorders to get that message out there that you're not broken. and
Yeah.
just removing the stigma of mental health, mental illness.
Yeah. I think getting to know your body and what those anxious thoughts are coming from as well, whether like what
Absolutely.
point of the compass they're coming
Yeah,
from,
exactly.
alleviate that as well. I
Yes.
find that. Now, I just wanted to touch base. I know, keeping in mind of the time, we were
Yeah.
talking about certain, like if you can't keep a hold of your thoughts and it's too much and you're trying to bring yourself back. I do like times tables in my head, or I'm like, okay, my memory, my mind's still there because I can answer these equations. And
Yes.
you were saying before we were recording that can be lead to things like OCD. Is this what?
It can. I mean, OCD itself can be its own diagnosis,
Mhm.
but I know in my case, because I was then diagnosed with OCD, I found, yeah, counting. I mean, they actually even teach you counting and doing those sorts of things when if you're having a panic attack, start
Yeah,
counting to bring yourself or listing things in your field of vision
yeah,
to help bring yourself back into the present moment. So removing that
yeah.
disassociation. But yeah, because of my anxiety disorder was so bad, I ended up with OCD because my thing was counting. So everything I did, like even washing the shampoo and conditioner out of my hair, it had to be washed out by the count of 10.
Oh wow, yeah. No, that.
So yeah, it was, yeah, everything was counting.
Gosh, I could see myself getting to that point if I let myself, but I'm very aware of what I do now.
And that's the thing,
Yeah,
having that awareness. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't do that now. You know, you've got that awareness. Oh,
yeah,
hang on, this is becoming a little bit too obsessive. I mean, it's an
yeah.
obsessive compulsive disorder.
You can
So,
get obsessed with anything. I know people that are obsessed with dying and avoiding death, and that was me at one
yeah,
point. It turned into an eating disorder.
yeah,
Um, it's
yeah.
funny how the
And I
brain
was the
works.
same. Like when I had an eating disorder, and because we were talking about this before we hit
Mm,
record, I was terrified at one point of choking because I saw an ad on TV
mm.
for, you know, doing a rescue sort of CPR sort of course to help how to help someone if they're choking. And I was right in the thick of my anxiety disorder. And yeah, I all of a sudden became terrified that I was going to choke. So for
Yeah,
2 years, I didn't eat any piece of solid food. It was all liquid.
geez,
It's
that's
crazy what our
really.
minds can do when,
I'm having visions of when I was a little girl, and I actually wrote about this in a book. But I saw a baby that had their belly button. You know how they lose their belly button, like they tie it.
yeah.
I remember the mum saying, "Oh, yeah, her belly button fell off." And I was like freaking out because I thought,
Oh,
"Do we lose our belly button?" And
yeah.
I remember my mum was telling me that for like nearly a year, I was always stopping and lifting my shirt up or my dress to see that my belly button was still there.
Oh,
I find though it's somewhat a
oh,
gift. Like even though you're anxious and you have this imagination that protects you, overprotects you, your imagination is so incredible that you can just
yes.
simply think. Like before we were talking about coffee, I could visualize, I could feel it, I could
Mm.
sense it. And I think to a point where your brain is so powerful at creating things
Yes,
that you can do it for the positive as well. Like you can
exactly.
really feel and touch and visualize things out of
Yeah.
this world. And I
Yes.
think it's a hidden talent that we have as sensitive individuals.
I totally agree. Absolutely. That is one of our hidden superpowers. Is
Yeah,
our brains are so, our imagination is so vivid that yes, we can turn it from a negative and turn
into
it
a
into
real
a
positive.
positive. Absolutely, to help support us and calm our nervous system down rather than ramping it up further.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Now, you kept saying anxiety disorder. I find some people are funny with using this terminology,
True.
don't like to
Yes.
label things.
No.
When does it go from, because you ended up in the hospital, when does it go from, I'm going to use inverted commas, normal anxiety to
Yeah.
something that's like a clinical thing where you actually need to be hospitalized? When do you feel
Yeah.
that sort of your
When you
experience?
can't when it has disrupted your life so much that you actually can't function
Yeah.
properly, that's when it becomes a disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have you can suffer from anxiety and have a lot of anxiety. So you can have social anxiety, so you avoid going to parties and things. You could just have that general feeling of anxiety, so generalized anxiety disorder or generalized anxiety. But it's when it actually starts affecting your life and your functioning that it then turns into a disorder that really
Yeah.
needs some support, some
We
professional support.
reframe and re-blueprint things.
Reflame, and
So
also,
I,
yeah, supporting the body, and neurotransmitters, all those sorts of things, as
yeah,
well as mind therapy, all those sorts of things. Sometimes we do
we're
need
back on the right track.
um, pharmaceuticals. Sometimes we do need medications just to dampen things down to the point where you're more
Function.
responsive to talking therapy or nutrition or whatever it is. If you're in that heightened state, sometimes, even though we practice natural medicine,
Mm.
there are certain times when
I think that there's a
short
place
term
for them.
there's a place for it, and some people, that's what they want to use. I
Mm.
support anyone, if whatever, do what you feel is right for you, and
Yeah.
talking to your own doctor, your own health
Mm.
practitioner.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm all about anxiety being a positive thing. I don't like to frame it as a negative
Yes.
thing. But I find if you can't talk to and understand your body because it's just gone completely, wah, having something to bring that calming presence back into your body so you're able to reconnect and talk and find out
Absolutely.
where the social anxiety stems from, because it's your body
Yes.
telling you something's not okay here. Tapping into that and going, okay, is it my body just overthinking things? Because I think of anxiety as a teacher, but I also like to think that sometimes that it's using outdated books, and
Yeah.
you need to be able to stop it in its tracks and say, okay, this is just getting ridiculous. Let's do this anyway, and I'm going to show you that we'll be safe. And being
Yeah.
in those situations as well. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So with hospitals, I often do not like hospitals. I can find them quite terrifying. I don't like being around sick people. I know that sounds awful, but it just makes me start
No,
to
it
get
doesn't. Look,
anxious.
yeah,
Um,
I think
but
most people don't like
you,
hospitals.
well, you've shown a good light on the mental health unit in hospitals, because quite often I picture, what's that other movie, 12 Monkeys with have you seen that one with Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I picture that kind of unit, and I'm sure there's units like
Yeah.
that are around, but
Yeah, look, there are. Yes.
yeah,
But they're yeah. That's not what
yeah,
our podcast is about. They are heavier psychiatric disorders. That yeah.
yeah, yeah. So red flags would be no sleep, um,
Yeah.
going crazy with work, not overworking. I would imagine would be one, not being able to function properly at work, and
Yeah.
relationships all going to the kaput.
Withdrawing
Just
from society and
yeah, just
activities.
an inability to function would be
Yeah.
flags.
Yeah.
Um, and I think people need to change the stigma around mental health, and look at it as a strength when we go and ask for support, because we've created a quite a conundrum from ourselves in the Western world that it's getting harder to be a human with everything that we're being thrown at us. And
Yes.
while it's important to say we can create our own environment, I think it's getting harder to do that with the human psyche wanting to follow and be a part of society and fit into that tribe. What kind of tribe are we trying to fit into? And is that why we
Exactly.
have a global epidemic when it comes to mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's that disconnect because of social media. We're
Mm.
sitting in our lounge rooms scrolling instead of going out and meeting a friend for, a
Coffee,
picnic or
dog
a
for a walk. I
walk.
delete my apps off my phone now, Nat.
Yeah.
I use them. I've got a social media lady that I'm hiring soon because I just don't want to be on
Oh,
it that much, which will be great.
yeah.
I'll let you
Yes.
know how that goes. But
Yes.
I download my apps. I go through, I message, chat, and then I delete them straight away. So that way,
Yeah,
when
that's a
the
great
habit of
idea.
going in and checking, it'll be like, oh, they're not there. I have to re-download them. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. So it
Can't be
gives me that
bothered.
that moment to think. And I think social
Yeah,
media definitely plays a big role in our mental well-being.
it really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are other options, not just going straight to a hospital. Like you can obviously speak to a
No, that's pretty much a
like,
last resort. That's
yeah,
like taking it to the
yeah,
extreme.
yeah. And often you would have already possibly seen a psychologist or a psychiatrist or
Yeah, I was seeing a
someone who,
yeah.
yeah, or even like, you could go to a nutritionist and have a look at your neurotransmitter levels. And
Yes.
there's so many different pathways you can go down to keep a check
Yeah.
on your
Downloading, any of the
physical,
apps, the
chemical.
Mind app or Insight Timer, all those sorts of things to help teaching you how to breathe, just to breathe
The breath is
properly.
so important.
It really is.
Apart from that,
Meditation, guided
reading too.
meditations, visualizations, or going to a class. I mean, I run mindfulness meditation classes,
Too. We'll put a link down
doing
the
all those sorts of things.
we'll put a
Yeah.
link down the bottom in the show notes for Nat's classes that she
Yeah,
runs.
my membership, yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And there are so many people out there. And as you were saying earlier, I think resonating and knowing you're not alone is one of the biggest helpers when it comes to this sort of stuff. And that's why I like to
Yeah.
sort of share some of the raw experiences that I've had, like just, thinking you're going crazy in
Yeah.
certain situations and
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
overthinking
We're
things.
normalizing what has been often demonized.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Um,
Yeah.
Amazing. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to give you guys an audience reflection. Um, I wonder, have you ever mistaken any of your anxious symptoms for something more serious? And often I find when I reflect on those and I think, oh, that was nothing. Oh, that was nothing. Oh, do you know what I mean? Like when you look
Yeah.
at past situations and you think the 99.9% of the time, those anxious feelings never ended up being the massive giant thing that I thought it was in my head.
No.
It's just overprotecting you. And often when we reflect, it makes us feel a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how did those past experiences shape your health today? Like, did you end up feeling sick? Did you end up, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to add to that? I feel like it wasn't really a great reflective question.
I thought it was fine. No,
Okay,
I
I'm
think,
overthinking
yeah,
now.
I was literally just about to say, maybe you're overthinking
Maybe
your
I'm overthinking this now.
Sammy.
Isn't that funny?
No,
It
it
creeps
was
up
no,
on
that
you.
was fine. I think that's a good reflective question. It's getting people to think, to drop down into their own bodies, think about past experiences and look at the evidence. I mean, that's what our brains like, isn't it? Evidence.
Did you
So if
die?
you thought that your mind went to the worst case scenario, but the reality was it was this instead,
Mm.
helps to retrain our brain to start, get out of that catastrophizing going, "Yeah, but the actual evidence is this. It
Yeah.
wasn't this, it was just this." Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. You reframed it, reworded it to the way that sounded better. That's
We're
why
a good
I have you on
team.
here. You decipher all my mumble jumble.
I do. I've been good at doing that, haven't I? That's why we're friends. I'm your decipherer.
My decipherer um, of my catastrophizing is
Of your catastrophizing, yes.
amazing. Well, it's been another great episode. We will see you on the flip side, and hopefully, we have a
Yes.
title for our wonderful podcast.
Yeah, well, we'll have one before it's
Well, it'll
released.
have to
By
have
the
one.
time you're listening to this, there will be a title.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's one of the random ones that we spat out at the beginning. Probably not. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us on the Anxiety Compass. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend who needs a little laugh and a lot of calm. We'll see you in the next one. Keep following your true north. Disclaimer time. Sammy and Natalie may be clinical nutritionists, but we're not your personal doctors. What you hear is for learning and laughing, not diagnosing or prescribing. If things feel bigger than you, call your doctor or local support line or reach out to a qualified health professional. They've got your back too.